I can always see it happening, and it's distracting to me. So,
I didn't realize that Microsoft has a transcription function.
It's automatic. Yeah. And actually, that has been good for the meeting. Like, I just watched a meeting on, we have a new faculty evaluation system, and I'm an evaluator, and I had to miss the original meeting. Well, the trainer has a to me very thick Indian accent, which is fine, but I was able to read the transcript, so that was helpful. But I feel like in this setting, everybody speaks English, and so I don't know if having a transcription, if they can't understand me, they're not going to be able to read the English either, I think. So that's why I stopped the transcription, because I can see it happening. And it's distracting. So anyway, but yeah, it was very helpful in that meeting. But yeah, I think it automatically transcribes. You have to turn it off.
That's perfect, because I think I heard because I'm going to be doing interviews with my teachers for this action research study, and someone told me but I'm not sure it's true, that I should be transcribing the interview. Is that correct?
I would agree. Either, if it's over Teams, yeah, then use that transcription. So as soon as you start recording, it starts transcribing at the same time. So yeah, if you're not in person, then that's superb. And I'm sure all versions of Teams have that capability, not just real people. That's Hi, Michelle. Really, are you trying to talk?
I'm not sure what's going on.
We got you. Yeah, well, we can hear you. I'd love to see you also, but we can hear you. So that's good.
Okay.
So I am recording the meeting, but if if you want me to show anything you don't want me to record, I'll just turn off the recording. But Joanna had some questions she wanted to start with.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you so much, Michelle. It's also very nice to meet you. So for currently, my goal is to have my proposal sent to the leaders of the institution that I'm going to be doing the action research at by October 15th. And in my last assignment, the written assignment that you assessed, I accidentally, I think I misunderstood. I completely omitted the intervention plan. I went back into the template and read through the instructions, and I realized, oh my God. So I also kind of realized I didn't quite fully understand what intervention was in terms of research. My basic understanding right now, after doing some reading, is that it's the action, the change that we implement in the study.
Correct.
Okay, so in that case,
that's the difference between research and applied research or action research. They're very similar. PhDs research, and they say there's a problem with student achievement, and we think it's possibly related to having breakfast in the morning. Okay, applied research comes behind that and says, okay, yeah, that's my little Kevin. He's on right. So applied research says, you know what? Our kids have low achievement. I wonder if that's the issue. So we take that beginning research, and now we add that intervention which says, okay, let's take these kids, let's test them. They score whatever they score, or their behaviors or whatever. Let's feed them breakfast. And that is the intervention. That one thing we do that's highly controlled. So it wouldn't be like, well, let's feed them breakfast and lunch. Okay, we don't know if it's the breakfast or the lunch or both. So we keep it really controlled. That is the intervention. Then we test those students again, and we go, hey, yeah, their behavior's better or their achievement's better, whatever it is. So yes, I felt like there was something up because I think you didn't have your intervention or your intervention plan. Now, that's why I said in Unit 7, when I grade your full proposal, or Unit 5, sometimes if somebody sends me their full proposal in Unit 5, because that's the last assignment, I will grade that entire proposal and say, go do your thing. And then when you resubmit in Unit 7, you're already approved. But I go back and adjust all the grades. So if you're Unit 3, you got a 56 because you left out something. When your Unit 7 is 95, your Unit 3 becomes 95.
That is amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. Well, not y'all's fault, but, you get a one shot at something you don't really have a lot of experience with. So as long as you correct it, that's all I care about.
That's fantastic. So on the subject of intervention for my research study specifically, I'm not sure if you remember, but it's about using student feedback to improve teaching practices. When does the actual intervention start? Does it start the moment I give the student questionnaire survey, or does it start when the teacher makes changes? Because as soon as the teacher receives the information that I collate, the next step is for the teacher to review the feedback results with the students. So at which point is the actual intervention? Is it the discussion with the student, or?
Yeah, so if I remember right, you're going to show the teacher, so you're going to tell the teacher about it, and they've agreed to participate, and then you're going to give the students some kind of form that says, how do you like your teacher? She's great, she's terrible. And then you share that with the teacher, and then the teacher is supposed to identify a change they can make. That's the intervention, because it's the change. So when you collect that data from the students, that's great. It's data collection, but it's not the intervention. The intervention is when that teacher says, wow, they keep saying I yell. Okay, I'm going to stop yelling. Boom, that's the intervention.
Oh, okay. So even though there could be an emotional shift when the teacher discusses the student feedback results with the students and do the co-construction, it still doesn't count as intervention until the teacher actually enacts it.
Right. So she might feel bad, or she might feel great, whatever, depending on the feedback. But that's a reaction. So if all you were looking for is, how do you feel about this intervention? Then that's the intervention. Okay, so, or I don't know what I just said, feedback. How do you feel about this feedback? So if your idea is, I want to see how teachers react to student feedback. The intervention, yes, is when you share that with her and she goes, wow, I had no idea. That's the intervention. But if you're looking for that teacher to do something so that the feedback is different, that's the intervention. Whatever she does to make changes. So I can pull up your paper, although since I don't have your intervention, I'm not sure what it was, but what exactly are you looking for? Her reaction, or are you looking for her to make a change?
I'm looking for her to make a change to see how it affects student feedback. So therefore, if it's about teaching practices, then it has to be. I see. Okay, I'm gonna have to go back and make some more changes. Okay. So very quickly, I'm gonna try to be quick so Michelle also has time.
We have an hour. So.
Okay. I don't
okay,
want
so let me just clarify this. So your intervention is going to be a teacher making changes based on student feedback. That's your intervention.
Yes. Okay, perfect. So you also suggested in my proposal was that I had too many questions. I had about 30 questions, and I've been cutting it down. However, I did notice that in one of my case study papers from literature review, Manduit 2018, he had 29 questions. So
she's getting paid, and she's trying to change the world. You're trying to get a piece of paper that says you're a master of education. That's why I think if I didn't, for purposes of this degree, you don't have time and you don't, I would say you don't have the logistics to do that big of a study. That's a pretty comprehensive study.
Oh,
Case study. So
okay.
for you, you're just trying to see if student feedback helps teachers make changes. Boom. You're not really trying to change. What you would do is take this limited study and build on it when you have all the time in the world, or you're getting paid, or that's your new job at the school district, trying to write. So, but right now, I just want to see if you can design, conduct, and analyze a study. In the maximum you'll have is 10 weeks. And that's if unit 5, I go, start, get your thing going. Because you got to submit a report at unit 8. So the most you have is 10 weeks if everything goes right. And you would not be able to analyze the feedback from that many questions. That's what I mean, 5-10 questions max.
Oh, because like most of the questions that I have is a Likert scale question, so it's just like a rating.
But you have to run statistical analysis on every single question. So I put some resources in there about t-tests and the Pearson correlation. So if you have a question like, how do you like, to what degree do you like your teacher? 1 to 5, 2, and then the post-intervention, 5. Wow, teacher's doing a lot better. Maybe the t-test will tell you, is that change significant? So did it just happen by chance? Maybe based on other things, they just like the teacher better, for some reason. The correlation says that 2 or that 5 is related to your intervention, not just, it went up. It's similar to a t-test, not just because it went up based on now the student understands the math better, so they like the teacher better. So,
oh goodness.
Yeah, it's not hard. And for you, Excel does it, SPSS, a lot of students get, I don't know how. You don't have to pay for anything because Google Sheets or Excel will calculate your t-test and your Pearson correlation. Okay. But you got to study. That's why I gave all those resources. You need to understand what those analyses are doing. What are they telling you? When you get an R equals 0.12, is that good? Is that a correlation?
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Okay,
but
I have no idea. I have no idea what the t-tests are, or like.
And I don't want you to. Oh no, what's the deal? Because most universities. So I had to, when I was working on my doctorate, I had to take about 3 weeks from doing any analysis. And I bought 2 books, Psychology Statistics for Dummies, and then a book that my chair recommended. I can't remember what it was. And I had to figure out what, I had the software and I get the scores, 0.03, good. But 0.03, what? So, and then my buddy got his doctorate at Liberty and he had to take a semester off and take a statistics test. So I don't think there's a university in the world, certainly not my master's. I didn't get any, I got 1 statistics class, but it was about student growth or I don't even remember. And I made a B. So while you're working on, before you get heavy in that study, like this term and over the break, look at those resources. For me, videos work very well. There are several YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And then, but you do have to run that analysis in 5910. That's why I say 5 to 10 questions, because, Excel doing the work for you, the math for you, is faster, obviously, but you still have to run it and you still have to interpret for your reader. Okay, I got an R of 0.032, which tells me what?
I see, I see. Oh my goodness.
But
I
it's
was
beneficial because again, that's what regular educators do is they go, it went from 2 to 5. This works. That's not scientific research.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay.
But
I
don't be
understand.
overwhelmed.
I thought the question limit was about like survey fatigue. I didn't realize it was about because like
Some of
that means
it,
I have to
some of it could be
some of
survey
it.
fatigue, especially for kids, because like,
Mhm.
how many different ways can you ask? Is your teacher doing better by not yelling?
Mm.
So 30 questions about how your teacher changed, they're just going to start click, 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 click. And adults would do that. You know, there's a risk.
Okay.
So some of it's survey fatigue, but most of it, for purposes of your study, you don't have time to analyze that. And if you do for your qualitative analysis with her, the teacher, or the students, 1 or 2 questions. How'd you feel about how the students feel? You know, whatever, because you have to code all the qualitative data have to be coded into themes. So you can say, you know, what I'm seeing here is kind of this trend, or, you know, what the students are really saying is, and you can't just look at the look at the responses and go, oh yeah, they all feel this way. So that's what takes the time
Oh
is the
dear.
analysis. But you, as long as you understand it before you go in, it'll
Mhm.
also help you design your survey questions better because you're going to be able to target what exactly do I need to ask. So when I get that response, it's not vague. Well, and there's a whole science to writing survey questions. You don't need to worry that much about it.
Yeah.
But like in that case study, I'm sure that you know the author Minduit was her. No.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sure she hopefully took time to research how to write interview and survey questions.
Oh dear Lord. So when I write the analysis, I'm guessing I have to explain pretty much every single question.
Yeah, so you in section 2, which you can see in your it's in your proposal or part 2. There's a descriptive analysis section. That's the statistical analysis. It says question 1, the increase, here's the table of results. So each student's response, and tables aren't that hard, but APA has formatting for them. So you'll list, student A said this, student B said whatever. And then you'll discuss your Pearson correlation at the very least and say the R is 0.032, which demonstrates there is a correlation between the student's response and intervention. And it's a big, it's an average R. So when you run it in Excel, you'll put each before and after, and then it'll give you Pearson correlation for the whole survey. So you'll say overall, the correlation. Hi.
Oh
Who do
yeah.
we have there?
So this is one of my cats. He's a Devon Rex. His name is JC for Jerry Curls because his fur is curly. Okay, so do you have, because this is a lot, do you have like a video or a book that you recommend for me to start?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure let me pull, oh, that's not our class. Okay. And another class. Let's see. Let's open our class. And I believe I put in the course forum a thread.
Mm.
Okay, let's see. Resources. Okay, so yeah, I got a bunch. All right, so let me just share that. Okay, so resources for, so validity and reliability mean, so validity means your outcomes are valid. That's where the t-test and the correlation come in. Because you can't, again, hey, it went from a 2 to a 5. Ah, okay, there's more to it. And the reliability means if, say, Joanna, you do this study, Michelle should also be able to do the study and probably get similar results. Now, the risk in that is applied research is not generalizable. So I can't take your study and go, it's going to work with my kids. I just know it. Mm-hmm. Because applied research is looking at that particular population at that site. But if Michelle says, well, my kids are kind of the same, she should get similar results, everything else being equal. So that's what reliability means. So this guy talks about validity and reliability. This is, like I said, there's a whole science behind survey questions. So, I don't want you to spend a ton of time on this because your survey is not going to be, you're not making money on this. You're not a paid researcher. You're not out to save the world. You're just trying to get a piece of paper. Doesn't mean you don't need to devote time to it. It just means we don't expect you to have the same level of expertise and comprehension that a paid researcher does. So this is based on quantitative research. So the tools we use, the approach we use, and in qualitative techniques, because again, take the responses and go, what are people trying to say here? What's the big theme I'm getting from when kids eat breakfast or when teachers get feedback? So if you had 3 or 4 teachers, are they all saying the same thing?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's what qualitative coding. And then I have another one that's qualitative. Okay, qualitative data is coded. So you say, okay, this comment relates to student discipline. This comment relates to teacher mental health, whatever. That's coded. Okay, and then I thought I just saw. I'm pretty sure I have 2 because I found some other good ones. Maybe they're all in there. Let's see. Check the. Yeah, I guess they're all in there. I went back and updated what I had because I found some better stuff over the break. Oh, okay. So this is one video, but there are several in the series. And then, gosh, I thought though I found. I'm gonna have to look because I thought I found this guy I really liked, and I swore I included him. So I'm going to go back and look. I might have done it last term. They all kind of run together. Okay. So, yeah, so those are
helpful.
Yeah, I think so. So, yeah, I start out with them, and then in the meantime, I'll look and see, in my YouTube history, what I found that I thought was very good.
Okay. Thank you so much. Oh God, I did not know what I did not know.
I know.
Right. Yeah,
and I guess that's why I started out. This is very common, even at doctoral level. Unless they just don't tell you, hey, this is coming up.
Yeah. Like I wonder if the other classmates in this course understand this as well because
Well,
yeah, it feels like everyone should be on this call.
yeah, and that's why I record the videos, because I know, the timing's not perfect for everybody.
Michaela's still here, right? Okay. Just
Michelle, what?
Okay, bye.
Ooh,
Oh,
we could have been listening in. Ooh, what's that? Yeah, so,
okay, I have
yeah.
I have two more questions. I'm sorry.
Sure. You're
So my study I planned for 6 teachers, but so far only 3 teachers have been able to give me their actual approval. If like unfortunately like the other 3 teachers back out, would 3 teachers be sufficient or?
Yeah, like I said, if you were getting paid, nope, you gotta go find some more. But again,
Okay.
applied research is for that site. So all I want to see, I'm glad, I thought you just had one, so I'm really glad you have 3, because that will lend credence on your qualitative coding when you say they're all kind of saying the same things. Or you may find out, all right, something's up, and maybe teacher feedback actually isn't that big a deal. Or maybe they don't understand that student, I think I said teacher, or they don't understand that student feedback's a big deal. So that's what you'll see in those qualitative responses is, do they understand the value of student feedback? Do they honor it? Do they want it? You'll start seeing that.
Okay. All right. My last question is a little bit like it's not super personal. It's about APA citations. So like I'm gonna give the stage to Michelle because I don't want to like waste her time.
No, Joanna, we have plenty of time. Yeah, I would
Actually,
just
Joanna,
guarantee, based on what I see,
Okay.
everybody's going to have the
Michelle.
exact same question, because I don't have very many people that are, adept at APA, and that's,
Okay.
I wish I had more time. I used to offer teams strictly on APA formatting, and
Oh wow.
it was like, hey, dial in, and we're going to go through a paper. Now, I think I put in the course forum, I think I put some, oops, where did y'all go? I don't know what happened. Okay, so I put a post about corrected reference formatting examples. So I did put that, and summary of rules for APA formatting. It's just,
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, I would love to think everybody reads everything I post, but I know you
Oh
don't.
no. I
And
am so sorry. I didn't even realize that was a course forum.
you don't. Oh, well, I can run this report on when and how often students are looking at the course forum. And so usually about week 2 or 3, I go, hey, you haven't looked at the course forum. But I didn't do that this time. I just was overwhelmed. So don't worry, you don't know what you don't know. And once you find it out, that's what I care about is, are you even trying to make improvements? Because there are some who are not. And I'm not going to pass their paper. I mean, the content might be beautifully written and oh yeah, your study makes perfect sense, but my name is on that paper, and I'm not gonna pass a paper where somebody has just totally disregarded APA formatting, because you can't get published that way, and you're basically getting published, or you have the ability to publish, because you take your final report and send it. Maybe your school district has a quarterly newsletter, and they say, sure, we'll put your paper in there, and that's getting published. So there's always some 1 or 2 people who don't get past, and but anyway, you're not going to be that way, or Michelle. So.
Okay, in that case, like I'm gonna hold off to talk about the APA. I'm gonna read the course forums first, and then come back with more questions like the next time after I have a better knowledge.
Okay.
All right, Michelle, it's all yours.
Actually, I did have the question on the intervention too, but I'm still confused. I'm still confused on that. It's not the intervention tool, I take it. what we implement.
The intervention tool is the intervention. It's the same thing. I don't,
So
yeah, I'm not sure.
my intervention tool would be the psychoanalytical literary criticism, which is based on psychoanalysis.
Okay. So I'm going to be totally honest. I think that I started to figure out your intervention in your last paper. But can you explain it to me? What I keep getting from you is a lot of background knowledge on psychoanalysis.
And see, that's
but I don't know what your intervention actually is. Are you going to conduct some psychoanalytic analysis, or what are you actually doing?
See, that is what psychoanalytic literary criticism is. It takes psychoanalysis theories and applies it to literature.
Okay, I think that's why I started figuring it out. I think that's what I got out of it. Okay, so now, are you going to teach the students how to do that?
Yeah, I actually came across a model for it that I can implement with my older students. I need to look at it more to see if my sixth grader would be able to do it because of her age. But I know my two older ones would be able to.
Okay.
And I know the books for them, they're geared different because they're older, whereas her level, I'm not sure that it would apply. I'm not sure, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not sure that the authors would use defense mechanisms in those books for her, for the younger one. I know for the older ones, they do.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna bet there are some books where I didn't teach. I mean, I taught sixth grade, but I didn't read to them. I didn't teach reading, and I'm trying to remember in fifth grade 20 years ago. You know, I'm sure there are some books where kids are being defensive, but you know, don't spend a lot of time forcing it to work.
Right. I have one possibly, but I would need to go back and read sections of it. But I'm not sure on it. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, just okay. So your intervention is taking a book, having the students read it, your kids, right? Read it, and then performing this analysis, and then what? Having them describe how they see the book differently, or
correct. How the author uses defense mechanisms as they interact with those characters.
That's not an intervention. That's like teaching context clues. So what you would have to do is have them analyze the book for, well, let me think. So the intervention, so what you're trying to see is if you do this, is there change in outcome? So if, my kids coming back from recess are rowdy, so I read to them after recess, are they still rowdy? So for you, yours sounds like I give them a book and I ask them to perform analysis based looking for defense mechanisms. And then I show them how to do it. Now, can they find defense mechanisms? That, I don't know if that's research. Well, I mean, it's research about a teaching strategy. I guess it could work because let's think this through. So if you're looking to see if differentiated instruction leads to higher outcomes, then you apply or you employ DI strategies. So if you are seeing if they can perform psychoanalytical criticism. I'm saying it wrong. And I'm not sure that's really research, because you're looking for an improvement in outcomes. And
Well, the outcome would be, would
Yeah.
they become more aware of
you
defense
know what?
mechanisms?
Yeah, I think okay, so your intervention tool is how you teach it. So for example, Joanna teaches analysis one way, you teach it another way. Which way is best? Okay, you know what? I'm going to do a study on this strategy, this method of analysis. But then you'd have to have her scores too. I mean, I see how you're researching whether how you teach this skill enables or changes their ability to perform the skill. I guess I'll have to allow it. So you need a before and after. So before you start it, give them a book. Can you analyze the defense mechanisms? Use the tool, however it is you're going to teach it. And then in the end, can they perform this analysis?
So they would actually have to read something before to see if they picked up on it.
Correct.
And then teach the model.
Yes.
And then see if they could do it later.
Right. So, and with the same questions. So whatever questions you want to ask them, you know, however you're going to demonstrate proof afterward is the same test you give them before. And they go, I don't even know. Just put something, whatever you think, unknown, whatever, however, because they don't know what they're doing. Teach it, give them the exact same test. Now they pass. Okay. Clearly, there's a change. Now your statistical analysis says, is the change related to the intervention? So
And the intervention.
You showed them how to conduct this analysis.
Okay, so the intervention is conducting the analysis.
Teaching the skill.
Okay. Okay, I think I've not done that section on my paper yet. I've not revised it, but I think I understand what you're looking for now.
Yeah, you have to do something to, to affect a change in outcomes. So the outcome of their pretest, they got 1 out of 5. They don't even know what they're doing. They even got frustrated, whatever. That's the qualitative component. They were obviously frustrated before they got instruction in the analysis. And then after, okay, you not only could they answer the questions correctly and they could find the defense mechanisms, but they also feel really good about what they did.
Okay.
Sorry, is it okay if I add in something as well? Like I'm very interested in your topic. So like how do you compare? Like wouldn't you need a control group? Like half the class would maybe work on another kind of instruction model?
She could, but again, limited study, limited population is okay. So, she could say, okay, one of my kids, I'm going to do it this way, and the other kid, I'm not going to give any instruction. But for our purposes, she doesn't need a control group.
Okay, so like once she writes the analysis, the result, and obviously like the kids they are going to be able to identify the defense mechanisms better, but
hopefully they may not. So if she had a control group, she'd say, all right, kid number 1 or both kids do the pretest. Neither one of them passes. All right, kid number 1, you sit out, kid number 2, I'm going to teach you this, and I'm going to instruct you in how to do it. Come back, okay, test them both again. If somehow kid number 1 is able to pass the test, okay, it wasn't the intervention. If she had 2 classrooms, 30 and 30, that would be great. But she's got 2 kids because she homeschools. So, you know, the control group is additional credibility for her study. We don't need that for purposes of her degree.
Oh.
But if she were going out, if she said, you know what, I'm going to be a real advocate for this method of instruction, I'm going to teach, I'm going to go to 3 schools and teach them that, okay, then she's going to need a control group, because it absolutely could have been that it wasn't the instruction, it was the, you know, the kid learned on their own. I don't even need the intervention.
Oh, so
She's
so
not
like
trying to
basically
save the world.
Okay, so when she writes the report, it would be about like the specific changes and the depths of the students' understanding.
Now, what
Okay.
she's going to put, and her 5910 instructor should talk about this. Every study has limitations. Every study. So if you had 500 kids, you got a limitation because you weren't, you know, so say you said, I think kids do better when I read to them after recess. And I have 10 classes and I read to every single one of them, and all the results come out. I still have a limitation that I didn't go to different schools, or I didn't go to a different state. All my kids are in Alabama. Well, did they calm down because, you know, Alabama kids are the best in the world, right? So her limitation is going to be her population, that she did not have a control group and that she's only working with 2 students. It's okay, because she's just trying to get a piece of paper.
I see. Okay.
And it doesn't diminish what she's doing. It just, again, there would be more credibility if she had a control group, but it's not necessary. Her study is going to be credible if she follows the controls set in place, like researcher bias. She's really going to have to watch that because she's at home with her kids and they're right there. You know, Michelle, you're not going to be able to, you know, to prompt them any more than you would in a normal classroom. So you're not, you'd have to really watch yourself. It's going to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would definitely, in your results, talk about the controls, because there's a whole section about researcher bias. And really talk about your plan to avoid it. So there's probably some research out there about researchers who study their own kids or something like that. I don't know, maybe not, but, and then in your final report, devote a section when you discuss the results, because you have a discussion of results or whatever it's called. You're going to need to put in a paragraph or 2 about, here's how I limited as best I could researcher bias that would skew the results. I did not offer additional prompts. I didn't talk about the books or the skill outside of that devoted 45 minutes, you know, whatever. I didn't answer any questions, because you wouldn't be able to do that in a classroom unless your kids call you. Hey.
Sure. Okay.
Oh gosh. Okay, that like ties to my thing too. So like I definitely have researcher bias, mainly because I asked the students to choose which teachers they think would be suitable for this study. And I would have to research about researcher bias before I start the study in order
So
to
I'm going to
put
say,
in.
I still
Yeah.
consider that random, because you didn't choose the teacher. Like, I know Michelle, and she's really open to feedback. I'm going to have her in my study. That would be bias. You just ask the students. You have no control over what they believe is a teacher best suited to the study.
Oh, interesting.
I
Okay.
consider
So
that
like so one of the teachers was chosen by the students, but for the PLC group, I then asked that teacher to ask in their PLC group already if there were teachers that would be willing to do this. So
you non-random means you went, let's see, Michelle's my friend, Jennifer's my friend, they'll do it.
okay.
So
I see.
if you said, hey, Jennifer and Michelle, pick a couple of teachers that would be good in this study. You're not you're not telling someone, and by the way, Michelle, Carol's really not very friendly, or whatever, that would skew, but you don't have any control over. Yeah.
But one of the teachers that the students chose, I do have a cordial relationship with. Like I am friends with him.
Yeah,
Okay.
that as long as you don't, offer, well, Jimmy doesn't seem like he really likes feedback, but I know him. He likes feedback. He's just probably in a bad mood. That's skewing, right? The fact that you know Jimmy, that's fine.
Oh.
You just can't discuss your study or give him any information additional to what you would provide these other teachers.
Okay. So like off the top of your head, can you think of other limitations that I might need to control for
Small sample,
before I start?
right? Like you've got 3 teachers, which is fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's just, it is a small sample size. And there's a sample size calculator on the internet that I have bookmarked. I could give it to you, but for your purposes, you could go use that calculator and say, well, it told me I should have 12 teachers for a
Oh.
95% confidence level, meaning I'm real dang sure that the answers I got from these 12 teachers is legit, it's reliable, or that information is reliable. I only had 3, that's a limitation, because I was supposed to have 12, but I only have 3. No problem. No problem for your
Okay.
purposes. My doctorate, 16, I sent my commander's survey to 16,127 officers. I got back 129. I didn't even get back 1%. It would not be acceptable if I were getting paid. But for my dissertation, it was fine.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, so small sample, maybe that you are familiar with these teachers. However, I was careful not to introduce any researcher bias or offer any additional information about the study, something like that.
Okay. Okay, perfect. All right. Oh wow, it's almost an hour.
Hey, I don't know what time it is for anybody, but I'm okay.
All right, Michelle, do you have any other questions?
No, I think that was one of my biggest questions. I'm sure as I work
Michelle,
on it.
tell me how you're going to phrase your intervention. What are you going to write about? What's your intervention?
Well, it would be how I teach it, correct? So I was confused on whether it was the tool, like the psychoanalytical literary criticism, or if it was something else. So I've not really thought. I guess when I got the feedback, I just wasn't sure what you were looking for. So now that I know, I'll be able to think through it more and then have it ready for this to submit this time during the writing.
Okay. So your intervention is a tool or a skill. So your intervention tool, your intervention, same thing. Call it whichever you want. Your intervention is teaching a skill to conduct psychoanalytical criticism, literature criticism. I'm not I don't have it in front of me. I always have to see it because it's
Yeah.
very lofty. But I'm going to abbreviate it with like math
PLC.
or multiplication, whatever. So my intervention, your intervention, is to teach a skill related to analytical literary criticism.
And then I'm assuming I would explain how I would teach that, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So more detail is better, right? So some students write, just kind of that, I'm going to see if differentiated instructional strategies result in higher learning outcomes for students. Okay. Because we all know what DI is and we have the concept. Okay. But, okay, what do you mean by DI? I think I know what you mean, but what is it that you mean? What is DI to you? Because it could be completely different. Your case, ain't nobody knows what you're talking about. So you're going to have to put in a lot of detail about what exactly is psychoanalytical literary criticism. What is that?
Okay.
And then we'll be able to understand your intervention. So in your literature review, you did a great job explaining the background to psychoanalytical literary criticism, but I still didn't know what it was. I know where it came from because you explained analytical, Freud and all, the other people. But I don't know how you apply that to reading. Now I do, because the way you explained it's about defense mechanisms and picking out in this, what is this character demonstrating that tells you they are defensive? Well, when they cross their arm, when the author writes, they cross their arms and frown. That's maybe what you consider a defense mechanism. Or they said, no, whatever's in a book. So now your intervention is, how do I, as a student, recognize a defense mechanism? I do because I'm a grown-up and I read a lot. But a kid may pass right over it. And the other thing is, I don't really understand why you care. Why is that a skill that a child should have? I mean, they need to have the skill of reading context clues. They need to have the skill of summarizing. Why do they need to be able to conduct psychoanalytic literary criticism?
Because it's the basis for, I've dealt with a lot of conflict. I have dealt probably within the last 15 years of conflict. If they understand what the defense mechanism does, they can help break that down and interact better with individuals.
Perfect. Put that in your paper. I don't think that's in your paper. That's a superb explanation. It's like, that's why we read books. You can read a book about, what's that? Henry's very rich day, or Alexander's very bad day, or whatever it is. And it's something about he spends all his money. So you can use that to go, see, don't spend all your money in one place, kids. And they learn from books, right? Like that's why we read. Perfect. But I don't think that's in your paper. And that needs to be, boom, right up front. Like introduction or statement of the problem. It's not in there. You talk a lot about they need to know it or something like that, but not, okay, why? So go back and look at that section, statement of the problem. Why do kids need to know how to do this and find these defense mechanisms? Because it's a way they learn through these metaphorical examples of a book that talks about it. Like I read a lot of military historical fiction because it's realistic and, we can learn some tools like, oh, they, carry their canteens in their backpacks instead of on their hips or whatever. It's just dumb example, but So we learn things from realistic fiction. And what you're having them learn is crucial, like how to sense conflict. Like, oh, I didn't even know he was mad. Yeah, when he went like this, that's a defenseman, you know, whatever. So it is crucial. I agree, but I don't know if you said that's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll take a look at everybody's Unit 4 papers, probably tonight, to get them back. I was on vacation, and so that's why Unit 3 was graded so late. But anyway, I'll get it back to you, and I'll take a look at your, you know, section, your problem statement, and see if I'm remembering correctly. And if so, I'll mention that.
Okay.
So I also want to ask, because I pretty much omitted the intervention section, and it's the vital part of that writing paper for week 3. Is it okay if I quickly resubmit it to you through email, just so
If you just add it into, you know, some people are submitting their entire template up to this point every time, and so then I regrade Unit 1, I regrade Unit 2. You can do that, or trust me, in Unit 5, if you want to submit your entire proposal, if it's there, I regrade. I regrade whatever anybody sends me one time a week. So, and then I go back and adjust. I go back and adjust the grades in Unit 7. So, or Unit 5.
Sorry, this is not because I'm worried about the grades. This is because I need to send the proposal to my institution leader.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then email it to me. Yeah.
Okay.
So do me a favor. Email me your. Okay. Let me think. I'm going to say this, but wait. Email me your entire proposal up to this point with 1, 2, 3, and 4, whatever you have. And that'll give me a jump on grading Unit 5. And then I can tell you, go. But yeah, so send me all that with your intervention. No, wait, you know what? Nope. Just send me what your idea is for your intervention, because it'll take me longer to grade everything. It helps me, but it doesn't help you. So just send me your intervention in an email. You don't have to type it up and all that stuff. Just, I mean, you don't have to put it in paper. You can, but just tell me what your intervention and your plan is, and then you can go to your principal or whatever.
Excellent. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. All right. It's technically been an hour. It is 10:30 p.m. in Vietnam where I am. So I'm going to give my final thanks.
Okay.
Thank you so much for his help.
Of course.
And I'm going to say thank you, Michelle, for your input, because through your conversation I learned a lot too. So thank you so much, and I'm going to say
all right. Have a good night. Sweet dreams.
Okay. Bye.
Okay, Michelle, have anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think so. I think that was one of my biggest things. If I find that I do, I can always email you if that's okay.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and if you want to do the same, and you know, when you rethink how you want to phrase your intervention, and just send that to me in an email, and that way, because you know, you really have to have that intervention solid before you can go too far.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Okay. I'll work on that in the next couple of days and nail it down and send it to you.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Have a good day.
You do the same. Bye.
Bye.